Yo, it's the Caden, and this is probably gonna be the last part, or like the third video of like the placebo videos that I have because I feel like I figured everything out, and so what I really want to dive into is firstly, okay, let me turn this off. Okay, I want to dive into relapsing, and I also want to dive into how I recovered from it. So back in Osu World Cup 24, right? So let's say this was about like maybe a month or two after I made those first two videos. I was like pretty comfortable, right? And I was setting some good scores here and there, right? But not like nothing too crazy, nothing too crazy. And I ended up on the team for Team USA for OWC 24, right? And then so far the start of the tournament was good, right? I was getting really good, really strong like qualifier performances, and then up until semis, yeah, up until finals, I think was still like pretty decent for me. Even though my consistency wasn't the greatest, it didn't really hit me until finals versus South Korea in winners bracket. And so I genuinely felt like I played really shit against South Korea that week. And what this made me do was it made me relapse back into my old like way of thinking that it wasn't me but it was my settings. And so I switched it. I fucking switched it uh after the South Korea match. And from then on, so then I stuck with whatever I switched, right? and and I played grands, right? Whole like 7-6 tiebreaker shit, all that. And I played pretty well. To be fair, I did practice quite the amount. Not as much on other maps as I hoped to, but on like the maps that I really wanted to play, yeah, I for sure practiced. But after OWC and like let's say around like December and January, I just kind of like fell apart essentially. And I ended up just going back to my old habits of like switching, keep going back and forth. And this eventually just led to me just crashing out at some point. I think it was in January or something, or like very early February. Yeah, yeah. It was like middle of February, I think. Yeah. And like this because of that, I ended up just stopped thinking about it entirely, and I stopped playing the game. I stopped playing for about a week or so, and not only that, but I also had a trip to Hawaii and stuff, which helped me, just take time off and stuff like that. Um, but because of that, you know, I had a I had a switch in my thinking. Instead of thinking that if I had the best settings, that I would be perfect, that I would be the perfect player, essentially, right? I would be able to FC everything that I wanted to. I would be able to play everything that I wanted to if I just had the perfect settings, right? But that thinking is so flawed, and I didn't even notice it until I took time off the game. And because of that, because of that, I started thinking, maybe the shit like maybe the issue that I'm having is just all it really is all in your head. It's a mental game. It's Osu is such a there's nothing about brains or anything in that fucking game. It's just all mechanics, and it's so easy to get caught up with shit just cuz you might have not been feeling it that day. And I have to say, for that finals week back in OWC 24, I think I just It wasn't the settings. I think I just wasn't playing my best that day. Like, I still got a good score. Like, Ainone Hard Rock 3, it was still 600k. I don't know what I was complaining for. I don't know why I got stuck all over in my head, but shit happens. And what I got out of, and the way I got out of relapsing, or got out of the relapse, was that I essentially just flipped like a switch. I changed my way of thinking to where it wasn't the settings that it wasn't going to be the settings that made me a better player, but it was actually just going to be the the hard work that I put in. Like, it didn't matter. It wouldn't even matter if I had perfect settings or not. If I played the game and grinded my shit off, I would be able to do it. And so because of that, I went back to my old settings, and from then on, I've stuck with it. And what is it? March 3rd right now, and I think I've been on that settings for about 3 weeks now. And honestly, I haven't been more happier than I am now because of it. Honestly, I do think that the Hawaii trip did help me, kind of refresh my mind for a little bit. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is, take breaks. Take some time off. If you're not enjoying the game, do not play it. I don't think it's worth playing the game if you don't want to play it. For me, it was just out of inclination, right? But every time I try to hop on the game, and I was just frustrated with it, especially when I relapsed. I was playing like shit. Every time I was playing like shit. Even if I did get a good score, my brain was so wired that I would just write it off. I would even acknowledge that fucking score. But now that I kind of switched my thinking, I've been able to just appreciate the process a lot more of playing the game. If you look past these like past 9 days, my tapping kind of went from like Dornwald, right? Dornwald is like 180, 190 BPM, and I went all the fucking way to 240 at some point. Yeah, yeah. My tapping has come a crazy fucking ways since then, and the only reason it's possible that I was able to do that was because when I first first acknowledged the process, and that scores weren't going to happen unless I put in the fucking work. Not only that, but I also worked on my mental and getting out of that relapse as well. Instead of thinking that the settings would make me a perfect player, I switched it and said that even if I did have shitty settings, I would still be able to FC a map if I put in that work. You know what I mean? And I think that's like kind of the fundamental thinking process that I had to be able to, just grow as a player. And stuff like Platinum Trophy, man, I wasn't able to do that like a month ago, man. It's crazy, bro. I look at all of these scores, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. So yeah, I think that's it. So lock in, go crazy. Oh yeah, if anyone wants to know what settings I'm using though, I got you. This is for mouse players. You got the full screen. I use snaking sliders, you don't have to. Raw input, and then turn this shit off for mouse. This is only useful if you're tablet. And I don't know what it is with this setting, but this kind of fucks with you. This kind of fucks with you on mouse. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's it. other than that, yeah, hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's day. Yeah.